back to Mind Over Chatter, the podcast that explores the fascinating ways our brains shape our world. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of us have struggled with, learning a new language. Why is it so hard? And is there a better way? We'll be listening in on a conversation that unpacks some surprising research on the psychology behind it all. Let's tune in.
Hey Mel, you got a second? I was just reading something super interesting, and it totally made me think of all those times we've complained about, trying to learn Spanish together.
Oh yeah? What is it? Please don't tell me it's another one of those grammar apps that promises you'll be fluent in 10 days. I think I'd scream.
No, it's pretty much the exact opposite of that. It's a fascinating academic study on language acquisition, and it basically argues that the entire way we're taught languages in school is, fundamentally wrong.
Fundamentally wrong? Okay, I'm listening. That would explain a lot.
Right? So the first big idea is that we treat language like it's math or history, an academic subject, but it's not. It's a social skill. The paper points to this big study where a professor recorded everything his baby son did and said for years to understand how we acquire language.
Wow, that's dedication.
Totally. And the final conclusion was that language is a social, real-world inspired phenomenon. We learn it through interaction, not by memorizing rules from a book.
It's all about context. The study mentions things like social interaction, mapping words to the things we're actually seeing and touching, and multiple listenings. Basically, it's just like how babies learn. They're immersed in it. They're part of the conversation even before they can talk.
That makes so much sense. It's learning by doing, not by studying. I mean, I spent 6 years taking French, and all I really remember is these endless verb conjugation charts. It felt so disconnected from, actually talking to a person.
Exactly. Disconnected is the perfect word. We spend all this time learning the correct way to build a sentence, but we get almost no practice in just trying to communicate, however messy it is.
Right. And you become so obsessed with the rules. I remember being in Paris and wanting to ask for directions, and I just froze. I was standing there, silent, trying to construct the grammatically perfect sentence in my head. By the time I was ready, the person had walked away.
Oh, I've been there so many times. And that's the next huge point the study makes. And this is the part that really got me. For most of us, the problem isn't a lack of knowledge. It's not that we don't know enough words. The real issue is psychological.
A psychological barrier.
A massive one. Think about it. From day one in language class, what happens when you make a mistake?
You get corrected, usually in front of the whole class.
Yep. So we're trained to believe that mistakes are bad and embarrassing. We develop this deep-seated belief that we need more grammar, more vocabulary, more study before we're allowed to speak. We're waiting for this moment of perfection that never comes.
That is painfully accurate. Wow. It's a confidence issue then, not a competence issue.
Exactly. The study calls it out, saying that the reason so many learners can read and write pretty well but can't speak is because of this psychological hurdle, and the pressure we put on ourselves actually makes it impossible to perform. Which brings me to the coolest analogy in the whole thing. It talks about performance anxiety using this scientific concept represented by a graph, like a big bell curve.
Okay, a graph. Go on.
So on the bottom axis, you have arousal, which is just a fancy word for anxiety or stress. And on the side axis, you have performance. When you have very low arousal, like you're bored or don't care, your performance is low.
Right, that makes sense.
As the pressure increases a little, you get more focused. You're engaged. A sports commentator might say a player is up for it. At that point, you hit the peak of the curve. That's your optimal performance.
The sweet spot.
The sweet spot. But here's the kicker. If the arousal, the anxiety, goes past that point and gets too high, your performance doesn't just level off, it drops like it falls off a cliff.
Yes! Oh my God, yes! That's the feeling.
The study compares it to a world-class footballer taking a crucial penalty kick. They've done it perfectly 10,000 times in practice, but now it's the final. Millions are watching. The anxiety is through the roof, and they miss the goal completely. Their brain just gets overloaded.
It's the overthinking. It's the fear taking over. That is exactly what happens when I try to speak Spanish. I have this whole conversation in my head. It sounds great, but when I open my mouth, all that pressure just makes my mind go blank. Total static.
It's the same biological response. The study mentions it's called the Yerkes-Dodson law. Over-arousal for a complex task leads to a complete drop-off in performance. Your memory just struggles to access the information that you know is in there.
I'm going to tell myself that next time. It's not me, it's Yerkes-Dodson. It actually helps to have a name for it, you know? It feels less like a personal failure.
Totally. And get this, there's an even more specific name for the fear of speaking a new language.
You're kidding. What is it?
It's called lathophobic aphasia.
Latho? Say that again.
Lathophobic aphasia. It's defined as the failure to speak a new language for fear of making a mistake.
Stop it. That's a real thing. That's not just me.
It's a real, documented phenomenon. It's the fear of making a mistake that's the core issue. The fear itself is what stops us from speaking. It's what makes us freeze.
That is a revelation. Seriously, the fear of sounding stupid is so powerful. It's what paralyzes you.
Exactly. So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You're afraid to speak because you might make a mistake, so you avoid speaking. But because you avoid speaking, you don't get the practice you need to get better.
Which makes you even more afraid to speak because you know you're not very good. It's a vicious cycle.
You nailed it. That's the loop. And the way to break it isn't to go back and memorize more grammar rules. It's to find a way to lower the stakes, to manage that anxiety so you can actually practice.
Wow. So all those years I spent beating myself up for not being disciplined enough, it was really just my brain protecting me from a perceived threat, the threat of embarrassment.
Pretty much. It's our internal alarm system going haywire. The first step is just realizing that the real battle isn't with the language, it's with your own head.
So what's the solution then? Does the book say how to overcome lathophobic aphasia? I love that I have a word for it now.
Yeah, it goes into a lot of practical strategies. But this whole early part of the study is just about getting you to reframe the problem, to stop blaming your memory or your discipline, and to start recognizing the role of fear and anxiety. The enemy isn't the subjunctive tense, it's performance anxiety.
Man, this is honestly a game changer for me. It makes me want to try again, but like from a totally different angle.
I know, right? Me too. I just thought it was so cool I had to share it. It just makes so much sense of the struggle.
Well, thank you. You've officially blown my mind for the day. So how does it work? What does a personalized, low-anxiety practice session actually look like?
Absolutely. The main strategy is the core of the whole study, and it's all about how you practice. The key is to create what the author calls personalized, low-anxiety practice sessions. It's about taking control of the situation instead of just being thrown into the deep end.
Over the next few weeks, we will cover the practical ways you can implement these methods. Please like and subscribe to the channel to get the updates of new podcasts as soon as we release them. You can also sign up for the Learning English program on ENSINO, an online platform that uses this exact method. Their website is www.ensino.co.za.